to figure out ways to make life easier when it comes to what we do with Edgenuity. I think that Edgenuity itself has made life a lot easier in some ways, but I still think that there's fix-up strategies and there's different things that we can do to enhance that process. And so what I've noticed is, of course, our population is growing, and even our SPED population is growing, and everyone definitely knows that. And we have to consider, how do we work with different groups of students, and how do we differentiate to make it work for all of our students? And so that's a core of what I really look at when it comes to Edgenuity. And so, first of all, let me ask, can anyone share for a second, what has worked when it comes to, let's say, the students doing those longer reading passages or writing samples? You know, what has been effective, whether it's the guided notes or anything like that? Is there anyone that wants to share about that?
Well, for some of my students in their IEPs, it says that they have, like, they're supposed to be provided a copy of class notes, and it doesn't say after they try or with effort. So I found the teacher version of the guided notes to provide them at the end of that instruction piece. Okay. So it's a good thing.
Okay. Yeah, so, but it doesn't necessarily work the same for everyone and at the same pace, of course, right? So we have to think about what does kind of work. And so I will tell you, just full disclosure, folks, I have more people that are non-SPED identified, more people that are passing than I have non-SPED identified and passing, okay? And, you know, maybe that's some soul searching, maybe that's some work that I need to do on that kind of end. But what I have found is that there's several things that work when it comes to working with our SPED population. And in some of these fix-up strategies that I've worked with, 85% of my entire SPED population is passing right now, okay? And this spans for 9th through 12th grade. It's all the social studies, as Mr. Beal can attest. You know, it's all these social studies, different subjects. And it's things that I've noticed can work for everybody in some way or another. So the first thing is, hats off to Stephanie Phillips, who's working with our dyslexia students. She came up with something really novel, and what it is a simple modification that you can do to our students that have a DYS notation on Skyward. And what it is when you go into course options here, bear with me folks, I wasn't able to get it printed because the printer was having some issues. Maybe it ate the paper, I don't know. But I at least understand how to work with this issue. And one of the things is when we look at pre-testing, that's something we'll get into in just a second, but when we look at the answer options, she told me, well, we should probably reduce the answer options by 1, okay? If you reduce the answer options by 1 and then reduce the number of assessment questions by 30%, it helps with their cognitive load. It helps to have them process less information, those students that have dyslexia markers. And so I tried that, not necessarily knowing and not necessarily having a complete outline of it needs to be this many answer choices and it needs to be in this complete nuance. But what I found is that in those cases, every single student with a dyslexia marker now has gone up by at least 20% for the past week. And this is not by you know, making it pre-testing and making it, you know, 20% on the threshold or anything else when it comes to that. It's simply doing that modification. 1 answer option reduced, so that leaves them with 3, and then 30% less assessment questions, okay? So that's the first thing, and like I said, hats off to Ms. Phillips for that. When it comes to pre-testing, okay, has anyone, raise your hand if anyone has had a student that got to 60%, or maybe they got to 70% and wasn't able to move on when it comes to pre-testing. Has anyone noticed that happen?
Yes. I mean, like, if I have the pre-testing set at 80 and they keep getting a 70, it's like, well.
Yes, it's that whale moment, right? Which kind of sounds like, you know, what are we going to do? Or ni modo, as we say in Spanish, you know, oh well. But the thing is, we have to think about something that Mr. Henson said last year, and this is kind of what I'll leave you with, is when it comes to SPED goals. One of the things Mr. Henson told us was that special ed, there's a different goal. It's not about getting 100%, it's not necessarily even about getting 80%. It's about focusing and grading based on that goal holistically. So, a lot of times, as I've noticed, looking at the IEPs, I can't speak for everyone, but certainly in most cases, when it comes to percent accuracy, it needs to be about 70%. So the only problem with making 70% in the pretest is that you're saying 85 to 90% of that goal has to be met. So one of the things you can do is change your pretesting goal to 60%. That way a student can get 3 out of 5, or they can get 6 out of 10 correct and still be able to pass on to the next thing. So certainly I'm not saying to use that at all times, but we can use that as a framework to work with that allows them to grow that progress, okay? So we can see, do we need to raise that threshold or not? And it can be a confidence booster for our students as well. Yes, Mr. Cruz?
And maybe to fix the grading part, just give them a bonus of 10% if they made it with 60.
Yes, absolutely. That was the last thing I was gonna mention, is the idea of pass with score, okay? Which is something that I mentioned in the big 3 strategies before. But if you see a student that, and you can look at their name and you can go to their course and click on their course name, like let's say SGC Chemistry, for example. It will show you where they are in the course, it'll show you the attempt that they have and how long that attempt took. You can click on pass with score, and as I always tell people, we have the data to back it up. So if they got a 60%, we can simply pass with score and make it 70, because within the realm of special education, they're making that goal. They're reaching that 70%, okay? So these are just some things that I think we can work with, and we can kind of eschew into progress without pushing the progress, without cheating the progress. These are some organic things that we can do that I think can work for any course. And as I've seen in the course structures, everyone has it available to them. All right, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rubio.